everyone. Shen Thomas here. Just wanted to talk a little bit today about some Wing Chun ideas. On our Wing Chun tools, they're actually the formation of how we position our arms, right? Wing Chun uses bone structure and angles, right? Imaginary triangles from like the wrist, the shoulder, and the elbow, and how those triangles, when they're kind of locked in, how they actually have power of structure. So even though Wing Chun is relaxed, these angles of our bones connected to our tendons can actually be relaxed when force is put against them. And you know, it just takes very little muscle to like keep the position. And so what it does is it makes our opponent who's trying to grab us or push us or move our arms around, it actually makes us seem incredibly strong when we're not. So that's kind of the beauty of Wing Chun, where, you know, there are some other arts that are extremely soft, like Tai Chi, right? Wing Chun has a softness, but it also has a firmness when people push against it. Okay, so, and then again with Wing Chun, instead of doing a big soft movement and coming back, we do little movements that are kind of on a fulcrum, you know, on a little pivot. And so when force comes at us, we're able to kind of intercept and pivot and then put force back, right? And even if force comes to us and it kind of comes into one side, then we're able to return that power back into the other side. And in a way, our opponent actually helps us by putting force into our center line, you know, into the center of our body, like towards our head or the body, the trunk, and we're actually able to kind of pivot and use that force against them. You know, a lot of martial arts claim that, oh, we use the opponent's force against them, and most of the time they're kind of just dodging it, right, and punching, or, you know, it's just this idea of leverage, like you see where they'll come in and come hip to hip with somebody and kind of throw them, and so it's more leverage, not really using their force against them, right? But where it's using an opponent's force against them is when they put force into you, and that force through your position is actually transferred into the ground. And then, you know, when they're pushing or pulling, it's like, it feels like you're fighting the earth, you know, because this force is going into the arm, into the shoulder, into the spine, into the legs, and then into the ground. And so that they're actually fighting against gravity itself. So anyway, the three main tools that we use over and over in Wing Chun are Tan Sao, Bong Sao or wing arm, and Folk Sao, which is like a type of hook arm. And so all three of these tools actually grab without grabbing, because the angle of the tool deflects incoming power, but then the angle of the hands actually trap and grab without having to actually grab the opponent's arms, especially if they're throwing stuff quick and pulling it back. Well, our tools, they tend to lock in place, whether it's the Tan Sao, the Bong Sao kind of to the side, or the Folk Sao, the hooking hand. So we're able to actually kind of control the opponent's arms, and then that's why we want to get in close and we stick, and then that kind of prevents them from doing fast strikes, because we're kind of sticking to them, and it's hard for them to kind of break free of that, you know, when we're sticking. So in our lineage of Wing Chun, there are quite a few lineages and different ways that Wing Chun is used out there, and many of them, they use a flurry of fast hands right? To move something out of the way and then maybe get a strike in. But our Wing Chun actually likes to stick and stick to the opponent's arms and hit them while we're still stuck to their arm. So we can kind of control them and strike them without them being able to break free to strike us, right? And so it makes a lot of sense when you're maybe a smaller, weaker, small build person to kind of control them and not allow them to get that speed and that momentum built up, because really being smaller, we can't afford to take a punch, right? So almost all Wing Chun, when we do our drills, we have to make sure that both of the opponent's arms are taken care of, or we're getting to the side so we only have to control one arm. We're flanking the opponent because we have to make sure that all of our bases are covered and that the opponent cannot strike us while we strike them, okay? So that's one of our rules, you know, with our training, is that we don't allow ourselves to break free to hit an opponent and leave ourselves open. That we always have to control both arms, and by controlling the arms, if you're sticking, then you can feel if they're gonna pivot or turn, right, to use a knee or a leg. And you know, when you're touching their arms, you pull their arms down and you jam any kind of knee lifting or any kind of kick. So, you know, that's why with Wing Chun we try to get really close. And you know, if they do grab us, like, you know, the clinch, then we have ways that we'll pivot and break the grab and strike. So we don't just break a grab and get away and run away. We break the grab and go right up to the throat, right up to the side of the head. You know, we don't break free of a grab and then let them reset, right? So that's the other thing with other martial arts, is they're constantly moving forward and back and slipping and resetting, but then they're allowing their opponent to reset, right? So it's actually better to get in there, make the contact, to control and not allow the opponent to reset. Okay, well, I think that's good for right now. Thanks for joining me again. Goodbye.